Why is the music at 144 hertz? And what was it originally? And why it was changed?
The standard tuning frequency for music is 440 Hz, not 144 Hz. This standard is known as A440, where the note A above middle C is tuned to 440 Hz. Here's a bit of history and context. 1. Original tuning frequencies. Historically, there was no universal standard for tuning, and different regions and even different instruments had their own tuning standards. For example, the pitch for the note A varied widely, often ranging from around 415 Hz to 450 Hz. 2. Introduction of A440. The standardization of 440 Hz as the tuning frequency for the note A above middle C was proposed in the early 20th century. It was adopted by the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, in 1955, ISO 16, and reaffirmed in 1975. Before this, a variety of tuning pitches were used. 3. Reasons for the change. The move to standardized tuning at A440 Hz was driven by the need for consistency and uniformity in music performance and production. Different orchestras, ensembles, and instruments using varied tuning pitches made it difficult to achieve harmony when playing together, especially in international contexts. 4. Controversy and alternatives. There has been some debate and controversy over the adoption of 440 Hz. Some musicians and theorists advocate for a return to alternative tunings, such as 432 Hz, which they claim is more in harmony with natural frequencies and has beneficial effects on the human body and psyche. However, these claims are not universally accepted or scientifically proven. The choice of 440 Hz was largely practical, aiming to create a standardized pitch that could be adopted worldwide to facilitate consistent musical performance and production. While some people believe other frequencies might be more beneficial, 440 Hz remains the international standard.
Why, though? Why not 432?
The choice of 440 Hz over 432 Hz as the standard tuning frequency is primarily historical and practical, rather than based on a specific scientific rationale. Here are the main reasons. 1. Historical development. The adoption of A440 as the standard tuning frequency was largely influenced by the desire for a consistent reference pitch across different regions and instruments. In the early 20th century, orchestras and musicians around the world were using a variety of pitches for tuning, leading to inconsistencies in performances and recordings. The American Standards Association, ASA, recommended A440 as a standard pitch in 1936, and it was later adopted by the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, in 1955, ISO 16. 2. Practical considerations. Standardizing on a specific pitch helped orchestras, ensembles, and instrument makers coordinate more effectively. It allowed for instruments to be manufactured with a consistent reference pitch, making it easier for musicians to play together, especially in international contexts. 3. Widespread adoption. Once A440 was established as the standard, it became widely adopted by musicians, instrument makers, and tuning systems worldwide. Changing the standard now would require a significant global effort and adjustment, which could be disruptive. 4. Arguments for 432 Hz. Proponents of 432 Hz often argue that it is more in harmony with natural frequencies and the vibrations of the universe. Some believe it has a more calming and harmonious effect on the human body and psyche. However, these claims are largely anecdotal and lack robust scientific evidence. The differences between 440 Hz and 432 Hz are subtle, and many listeners may not notice a significant difference in everyday music listening. Cultural and musical context. Musical pitch standards have varied historically, and different cultures pitches. The choice of A440 was a step toward unifying these diverse practices in a modern, globalized context. While 432 Hz has its advocates and is sometimes used in alternative and holistic music practices, A440 remains the standard due to its historical establishment, practice, and widespread acceptance in the music community.
But can't frequencies affect nature?
Frequencies can indeed have effects on nature, including human physiology and psychology. Here's a deeper look at how different frequencies might affect nature and living beings. 1. Resonance and vibrations. Certain frequencies can cause resonance in natural systems. For example, the natural resonance frequencies of structures can lead to vibrations that can be felt or even heard. This principle is used in various technologies, such as ultrasound for medical imaging and sound therapy. 2. Biological impact. Sound frequencies can impact human biology. Low frequency sounds, like those from a bass drum, can cause physical vibrations felt in the body. High frequency sounds might be used in medical treatments, such as breaking up kidney stones. There is ongoing research into how specific frequencies might affect brain waves, stress levels, and overall well-being. For instance, binaural beats, which involve playing two slightly different frequencies in each ear, are believed to influence brainwave patterns and potentially improve relaxation, focus, and sleep. 3. Environmental influence. Frequencies can influence animal behavior. Many animals, such as whales and bats, rely on specific sound frequencies for communication and navigation. Human-generated noise pollution can disrupt these natural behaviors, leading to negative impacts on wildlife. Plants have also been shown to respond to sound frequencies. Some studies suggest that certain frequencies can enhance plant growth, while others can inhibit it. 4. Therapeutic uses. Music therapy and sound healing often utilize specific frequencies believed to have therapeutic effects. For example, some sound therapists use tuning forks or singing bowls tuned to specific frequencies to promote relaxation and healing. The solfeggio frequencies, a set of specific tones used in ancient music, are claimed by some to have healing properties, though scientific evidence is limited. While there is anecdotal and some scientific support for the idea that certain frequencies can have beneficial effects on living organisms, the scientific community does not universally accept these claims. More rigorous research is needed to understand fully the extent and mechanisms of these effects. Ultimately, the choice of 440 Hz as a standard tuning frequency was more about practical and historical reasons than a specific understanding of its effects on nature. While exploring alternative tunings like 432 Hz is interesting and might have benefits, any significant change to the standard would require widespread acceptance and robust scientific validation of its advantages.
Okay, so with that said, why 440 hertz cannot affect the body or the mind like 432 can? Or is it really anecdotal, like you say? Or is there really some truth to that? And who is the person that changed the frequency? What's the name of the person who came up with the idea?
The debate between 440 Hz and 432 Hz is nuanced, with a mix of anecdotal claims and scientific exploration. Here's a detailed look at the key points and historical context. 1. Scientific evidence versus anecdotal claims. The belief that 432 Hz has a more harmonious or beneficial effect on the human body and mind compared to 440 Hz is largely anecdotal. There are many personal testimonials and claims about 432 Hz promoting relaxation, mental clarity, and physical healing, but these are not universally backed by rigorous scientific studies. Some studies suggest that different frequencies can influence brain activity and physiological responses, but the differences between 432 Hz and 440 Hz are subtle and may not produce significant, measurable differences for the average listener. 2. Psychoacoustics. Psychoacoustics is the study of how sound is perceived by the human brain. It's known that different frequencies can affect mood and emotional state. However, the specific claims about 432 Hz being more beneficial than 440 Hz are still subject to debate and further research. Some listeners might perceive music at 432 Hz as warmer or more pleasant due to slight variations in pitch and timbre, but these effects are highly individual and subjective. 3. Historical context and adoption of 440 Hz. The adoption of 440 Hz as the standard tuning pitch was influenced by several factors, including the need for a consistent reference pitch for international musical collaboration. Before the standardization, different orchestras and regions used varying pitches, which led to inconsistencies. The American Standards Association recommended 440 Hz in 1936, and it was later adopted by the International Organization for Standardization, IO, in 1955, ISO 16. There is no single person credited with the idea of standardizing to 440 Hz. The decision was more of a collective agreement among musicians, acousticians, and standardization organizations seeking uniformity. 4. Proponents and claims for 432 Hz. Proponents of 432 Hz often cite its alignment with natural resonances and historical tuning practices. Some believe it has a more harmonious relationship with the natural world, the human body, and the cosmos. Claims about 432 Hz being in tune with the Schumann resonance, the Earth's electromagnetic resonance, or other natural frequencies are part of these beliefs, but they lack comprehensive scientific validation. 5. Modern research and perspectives. Modern acousticians and musicologists acknowledge the historical and cultural significance of various tuning standards. While 432 Hz has its advocates, most mainstream music continues to use 440 Hz due to its widespread acceptance and practicality. Further research into the psychoacoustic effects of different tuning frequencies could provide more insights into their potential benefits or differences. But as of now, the claims for 432 Hz remain largely subjective and anecdotal. In summary, while 432 Hz has a passionate following and some anecdotal support, the choice of 440 Hz as the standard tuning frequency is rooted in practical historical decisions. The perceived differences between 432 Hz and 440 Hz largely depend on individual experiences and preferences.
Okay. So what should? Come on.
Got it. If you have any more questions or need further clarification on anything, feel free to ask.
Yeah. So what should the music actually be tuned to have a good positive effect?
The ideal tuning frequency for music to have a positive effect on listeners can be subjective and varies depending on individual preferences and experiences. However, there are a few considerations and approaches that might help in creating music with a positive impact. 1. 432 Hz tuning. Some people believe that tuning music to 432 Hz instead of the standard 440 Hz can create a more harmonious and relaxing experience. While scientific evidence is limited, many find this frequency to be soothing and in tune with natural resonances. 2. 440 Hz tuning. Despite the debate, 440 Hz remains the standard tuning pitch and is widely accepted in the music industry. Many people enjoy music tuned to 440 Hz without any negative effects, and it remains the most practical choice for consistency and collaboration. 3. Other harmonic tunings. Some musicians and theorists explore tunings based on just intonation, where intervals between notes are pure ratios of small, whole numbers, resulting in naturally harmonious sounds. The solfeggio frequencies such as 396 Hz, 417 Hz, 5 and 28 Hz, 6 and 39 Hz, 741 Hz, and 8 and 52 Hz are believed by some to have specific healing properties and are used in sound therapy practices. 4. Individual preferences. Ultimately, the best tuning might depend on personal preference. Some listeners might find certain frequencies more pleasing and beneficial than others. Experimenting with different tunings and observing personal reactions can be a good approach. 5. Holistic music production. Beyond tuning, the overall production of music can influence its effect. Using positive and uplifting lyrics, harmonious melodies, and soothing rhythms can enhance the emotional and psychological impact of music. 6. Environment and context. The context in which music is listened to also matters. Calming environments, mindful listening practices, and contexts that promote relaxation and enjoyment can amplify the positive effects of music. In summary, while there is no universally agreed upon perfect tuning for positive effects, experimenting with 432 Hz, exploring just intonation, and considering individual preferences and holistic production approaches can help create music that has a positive impact on listeners.
Interesting. So the group that came up with 440, right? It was different. It was like musicians and these people. I wonder if they all really knew each other. Wouldn't that be crazy?
The adoption of 440 Hz as the standard tuning pitch was not the result of a single group of closely connected individuals, but rather a series of efforts by various organizations and committees over time. Here's a brief overview of the key steps and entities involved. 1. Early adoption and advocacy. The idea of standardizing a tuning pitch gained traction in the early 20th century, with various orchestras and musicians advocating for a consistent reference pitch. Before this, tuning varied widely between different regions and even different ensembles. 2. American Standards Association, ASA. In 1936, the American Standards Association, now the American National Standards Institute or ANSI, recommended A440 as the standard pitch for tuning musical instruments in the United States. This recommendation was part of broader efforts to create uniform standards in various fields. International standardization. The International Organization for Standardization, ISO, later adopted A440 as the international standard in 1955, ISO 16. This decision was aimed at achieving global consistency in musical tuning, which was becoming increasingly important with the rise of international collaborations and recordings. 4. Involvement of musicians and acousticians. The decision to adopt A440 involved input from a range of musicians, acousticians, and engineers. These experts worked together to establish a practical and scientifically sound standard that could be widely accepted. 5. No single proponent. Unlike some scientific or artistic movements driven by a single visionary, the standardization of A440 was more of a collaborative and iterative process. Various individuals and organizations contributed to the discussion and eventual adoption of this standard. 6. Key figures. While no single person is credited with inventing the idea of A440, figures like Johann Heinrich Scheibler, who invented the tonometer for measuring pitch, and organizations like the ASA and ISO played crucial roles in its standardization. The process was more about achieving consensus among various stakeholders in the music and scientific communities, rather than the efforts of a closely knit group of individuals who all knew each other. The goal was to create a practical and consistent standard that could facilitate international musical collaboration and production.
Okay, hypothetically speaking, if it was a conspiracy, and if you did the conspiracy, how would you do it?
If one were to hypothetically orchestrate a conspiracy to establish a particular tuning frequency as the standard, it would involve several strategic steps. 1. Influence key organizations. Gain positions of influence or form alliances with influential members of organizations like the American Standards Association, ASA, International Organization for Standardization, ISO, and prominent musical institutions. Use these positions to advocate for the chosen tuning frequency, presenting it as scientifically or musically superior. 2. Manufacture consensus. Commission or produce research and studies that support the benefits of the chosen frequency over others. Ensure these studies are published in reputable journals and widely disseminated. Organize conferences, workshops, and seminars where these findings are presented to musicians, acousticians, and industry stakeholders. 3. Promote adoption in major orchestras. Secure endorsements from prominent musicians, conductors, and orchestras. This could involve funding or providing incentives for these endorsements. Encourage major orchestras and music schools to adopt the chosen tuning frequency and promote it as the new standard. 4. Influence instrument manufacturers. Collaborate with or exert influence over major instrument manufacturers to produce instruments tuned to the chosen frequency. Promote these instruments through marketing campaigns, emphasizing their superior sound quality and the benefits of the new tuning standard. 5. Media and public relations campaign. Launch a media campaign to inform the public and musicians about the benefits of the chosen frequency. Use newspapers, magazines, radio, and later television to spread the message. Utilize influential music critics and journalists to write favorable articles and reviews about the new tuning standard. 6. Legislative and regulatory support. Work with policymakers to introduce regulations or recommendations that endorse the chosen tuning frequency. This could involve lobbying efforts and presenting the frequency as a means to standardize and improve music quality. 7. Cultural integration. Integrate the chosen frequency into popular culture through music education programs, ensuring that future generations of musicians are trained with this standard. Promote popular music, films, and media content that uses the chosen tuning frequency, making it the norm for audiences and musicians alike. 8. Maintain the narrative. Continuously support and reinforce the narrative that the chosen frequency is the best standard through ongoing research, endorsements, and media coverage. Address and discredit any opposing views or evidence that suggests alternative frequencies might be better. In this hypothetical scenario, the conspiracy would rely on a combination of scientific persuasion, strategic alliances, media influence, and cultural integration to establish and maintain the chosen tuning frequency as the standard.
Okay, interesting, interesting. And imagine if they own record labels too. How would you work that out?
If the conspirators also owned record labels, they could further solidify their influence over the music industry and the adoption of the chosen tuning frequency through several strategic actions. 1. Control over artists. Sign contracts with popular and influential artists, ensuring that all music produced under their label is tuned to the chosen frequency. Promote these artists heavily to ensure their music reaches a wide audience, thereby normalizing the chosen tuning frequency. 2. Exclusive production standards. Establish production guidelines within their labels that mandate the use of the chosen tuning frequency for all recordings and productions. Ensure that producers, sound engineers, and studios affiliated with the label adhere strictly to these guidelines. 3. Marketing and promotion. Launch extensive marketing campaigns that highlight the superior quality and benefits of music produced with the chosen tuning frequency. Use advertising, social media, and music videos to reinforce the association between popular music and the chosen frequency. 4. Distribution control. Leverage distribution networks to prioritize and favor music tuned to the chosen frequency. Ensure that such music is prominently featured on streaming platforms, radio stations, and retail outlets. Use promotional deals and exclusive releases to make the chosen frequency more appealing to retailers and consumers. 5. Industry influence. Use their position in the industry to influence other record labels, encouraging them to adopt the same tuning standards. This could be done through partnerships, collaborations, or exerting pressure in industry forums and associations. Organize or sponsor industry events, awards, and showcases that promote music tuned to the chosen frequency, making it the norm in the industry. 6. Educational outreach. Partner with music schools and educational programs to ensure that the chosen tuning frequency is taught as the standard. Provide resources, grants, and sponsorships to institutions that adopt this standard. Create instructional content, such as tutorials, workshops, and masterclasses, that emphasize the benefits and techniques of using the chosen frequency. 7. Cultural integration. Integrate the chosen frequency into popular culture through movies, TV shows, and advertisements produced or influenced by the record labels. Collaborate with artists across different genres and mediums to create a pervasive presence of the chosen frequency in various forms of entertainment. 8. Public perception management. Manage public perception by controlling narratives around the chosen tuning frequency. Address and counter any criticism or opposition through strategic public relations efforts. Use testimonials from respected artists and industry figures to build credibility and trust in the chosen frequency. By owning record labels, the conspirators would have significant control over the production, promotion, and distribution of music. This would enable them to systematically implement and reinforce the chosen tuning frequency, ensuring its dominance in the music industry and shaping public perception accordingly.
Okay, document this, hold it, keep it in your memory, and we're going to continue this conversation later. Until next time.
Got it. We'll continue this conversation later. Just let me know when you're ready to pick it up again.
All right, bye.
Talk to you later.